Today we're going to be translating Shakespeare. It's more of paraphrasing Shakespeare than translating, but it is kind of a process to go through. Again, Shakespeare is actually writing in English, but some of the things that he says or writes don't make complete sense. Shakespeare was not meant necessarily to be read, it was more to be seen, but his sonnets were meant to be read. So we're going to read over these sonnets. A couple things you need to know about sonnets. Every sonnet, in order to be a sonnet, it will be 14 lines long, and it will be in iambic pentameter, which you don't need to worry about right now, you just need to know that word. And the last two lines should rhyme. It is also about love. That's what sonnets typically are about. So those are some things you need to know. The other thing is the process. Now, this process is a 5-step process, but it kind of is a flow and ebb. You might skip over a couple steps, things like that. But I'm going to walk you through this process. That's what this video is for. So as you go through this process, don't worry about if you don't quite understand it yet. You're going to see me act it out and go through the whole thing with you, and then you're going to practice some more and go through this process several more times. All right, so here's the application part of this project of translating Shakespeare. So we're going to be using the process that we just talked about and that you have in your workbook or that is on the wall for you to help you out. But we're going to go through this process. So it's going to be a 4-part process with the me, we, to, you. Me means I'm doing everything. We will be for whole class. To is with a partner, and you is on your own. By the time you get to your own, you should be able to do this. So the me today is I am going to be doing everything. But everything I do up here on the board, you need to do on your paper as well. Everything I do. Now, I'm going to be talking out loud. That doesn't mean you need to answer those questions or answer those thoughts. Don't answer them. Okay? It's solely going to be just me going through the process so you see what it looks like. Then we'll practice a we, okay? And then we'll practice to with a partner, and then you on your own with the 4. Now, the sonnets that we're going to be doing are much harder than when the play is. Shakespeare is writing in English, I promise, but it is hard to kind of grasp what he's saying, especially in just the 14 lines you're given, right? So when it comes to doing this, don't get frustrated with the sonnets. It will get easier, I promise. Along those lines too, when we get to the play, you'll have a plot line to follow. So you know what's supposed to be happening. You can kind of figure it out then as well, okay? He is writing English. We got to figure out what he's writing about, okay? So we're going to go through this process. Now, before we even start the process, the very first step that's not even on your posters anywhere else is you have to read it. You don't know anything unless you read the sonnet or read the play or anything like that. Okay, so you have to read it first. So let's go ahead and read this. Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love, which alters when alteration finds, or bends when the remover to remove. Oh no, it is an ever fixed mark that looks on tempest and is never shaken. It is the star to every wandering bark, whose worth's unknown, although his height be taken. Love is not time's fool, though rosy lips and cheeks with his bending sickle compass come. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks, but bears it out even to the edge of doom. If this be error and upon me proved, I never writ, nor no man ever loved. Okay, so what the heck does that mean? Don't answer that. Remember, this is all me. I have no idea what this says. Okay, so I guess let's go through and figure out the first step. The first step, according to my packet or to the wall, is identify end sentences or complete thoughts. Shakespeare doesn't write in complete thoughts always with ends of sentence marks, so there's more. So it's periods, question marks, exclamation points, but also colons and semicolons. So I'm going to go through and I'm just solely going to find my end marks. So let me not to the marriage of impediments. Oh, there is a period, so I'm going to circle it. Love is not love, which alters when alteration finds, comma. Oh no, comma's not one that I would need to do. Just colons and semicolons, periods. Or bends with the remover to remove. Oh, but there's a colon. Colon is the double dot. Okay, and then, oh no, I've got an exclamation point. So I'll put that. It is an ever fixed mark that looks on tempest and is never shaken. Oh, there's a semicolon. That's the dot with the comma. Okay. It is the star to every wandering bark. Nope, that's a comma, don't need it. Whose worth's unknown, another comma, don't need it, although his height be taken. Oh, there's a period. Love's not time's fool, comma, ignoring, though rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle compass come. So I have a colon, so I'll do that. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks. That's a comma, don't need it, but bears it out even to the edge of doom. There's a period. If this be error and upon me proved, comma, I never writ, comma, nor no man ever loved, another period. All right, so I have identified my end marks. All right, I've figured out my end marks. I'm just going to count my sentences and just jot that down to the side. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 sentences. So next to where I have my words, I'm just going to put 8 sentences. That way I know by the time I'm done that I need to also have 8 sentences when I get this figured out so that I have the same sentences. And I'm going to use the exact same punctuation that is here as well, okay, because these punctuation marks are important. Period is a very big stop. Exclamation point, very big stop. Colon is not quite as much of a stop. It means the thought is going to continue on. A semicolon, same thing. The thought's going to continue on with a little bit more emphasis. Okay, so we've got our end marks. Okay, so my next step then, step 2, is I need to identify words I know and words I don't know. Okay, so again, I'm going to be circling. So what I'm looking for are nouns and verbs, maybe some adjectives. I'm not looking at the little words, the ofs, the thes, a, is, those type of things. I'm looking for the bigger words that I know, because if I did, I could circle a bunch of stuff. But I'm looking for basically the nouns and verbs, maybe some adjectives, okay? So things, people, places, things, that's a noun. Verbs, that's your actions, okay? Or your adjectives describing the nouns. All right, so I'm going to go through this process. So here we go again. This is back to the me. Don't answer the questions. All right, let me not to the marriage of true mind. So me, I know that. So let me, I know that. Not the marriage, I know what marriage is. Of the true minds, I know what minds are. Admit impediments. Well, I know what it means to admit something. Impediment. I don't know what that is. I'm going to put a question mark. And I'm going to move on. All right, love. I think I have an idea of what love. Love is love, but it also said not love. So I'm kind of making a little mark there. Which alters when alteration finds. I think I know what alters means. But I'm going to go ahead and question mark it because it's used here and then used again in another form here. So I want to make sure I know what that means. And I know what it means to find something. Or bend. I know what it means to bend with the remover to. Again, it's a double word. If they use the same word so close together or more than once, I feel like it's important. I know, like, I'm pretty sure I know what remove means. But again, I'm going to question mark it just to make sure because it is repeated. And when things are repeated, they're important. So just so you know, when things are repeated, they're important. Because if they're repeated, they're important. Hint, hint. All right. Oh no. That just means oh no, I'm pretty sure. It is an ever-fixed mark. Ever-fixed. Again, I'm not sure. It's a question mark, but I know what a mark is. That looks, I know what to look mean. On tempest. Nope, don't have a clue. Question mark. And is never shaken. Again, I know never. I know it needs to be shaken, not stirred. It is the star. I know star. To every wandering bark. I don't know. So I'm going to question mark both of those. Whose worth? I know what worth or value is. Unknown. I know what it means to be unknown. Although his height be taken. Well, like I know what the word height and taken mean, but his height be. I don't know what that whole phrase means. So I'm going to join it together and question mark the whole thing. Love, again, is not time's fool. Well, time is capitalized, so it's got to be a person. I know what it means to be an idiot or a fool. The rosy lips and cheeks. Within his bending sickle compass. Within his bending sickle compass. Within his bending sickle compass. I don't have a clue. That whole entire thing. I don't have a clue. Okay. Love. I know that one. Alters. Oh, I have alters again. That's the 3rd time that alters has been used. Probably important. I'm definitely going to look that one up. So question mark. Not with his brief. I know it means to be short. Hours and weeks. But bears it out. Bear? We have a bark and bears. So now I have like a dog barking and an animal of a bear. This makes no sense. What is Shakespeare thinking? Okay, we're going to look it out. To the edge of doom. Edge of doom. I think I know what that is, but again, I'm going to question mark it because I'm getting confused. If this be error, well, I'm making a lot of those. I know what a mistake is. Upon me proved. I know what prove means. I never writ. I don't know what that is. or no man ever loved. All right, so I have now done my next step. I found the words I know, those are circled, and question mark the ones that I don't. Now I don't move on to step 3. I stop and I try and figure out what these mean. Now, step 3 is to use the margin notes. Step 4 is to ask a partner. And step 5 is to raise your hand and ask the teacher. Now, these steps kind of all go together, and there's not really a bit up here that you need to do. This all kind of flows together in what you're supposed to do to try and translate this. So that's our next step, is to do step 3, 4, and 5 in order to get this figured out. Right, so my next step is to try and translate this out. But I still have some words up here that I don't know what they are. So before I even try to figure out what this whole thing is saying, I'm going to try and figure out some of these words. So it says that I can use my book or margin notes. Well, these sonnets don't have margin notes. They're just not there. There's nothing down the side of them, so I can't use those. But it does say vocabulary, and I can use a dictionary. I have a dictionary on my computer I can use. I can go get a dictionary off the shelf, or I'm going to use my handy-dandy, trusty phone, because that's absolutely okay. And I'm going to ask Google. So here we go. Now, Google is 100% right all the time. So I'm going to show you how that works. My first one that I don't know is the word impediments. So I am going to ask Google what that means. Okay, Google, define impediments. Oh, let's try that again. Okay, Google, define impediments.
Definition of impediment, a hindrance or obstruction in doing something.
Oh, a hindrance or an obstruction. Okay, so a hindrance. Well, an obstruction, that's like blocking. Okay, so block or hindered. Now, if I didn't know what hindered meant, I would have to look that up, but I know that one, so I'm good. All right, alters. Okay, alter and alteration. All right, so I'll go ahead and do that one. Okay, Google, define alter.
Here's the definition of alter. Change or cause to change in character or composition, typically in a comparatively small but significant way.
Oh, and then Google didn't read the second definition. There's a second definition that says the place of worship in a church. Okay, so I have two definitions here. So love is not love, which a place in a church? No, that's not going to be. It's got to be the first one, to change. So alter means change. And then alteration, again, is going to be some sort of change. And I'm going to come down here because I had it a third time, and I'm going to write it here. All right, my next question mark, remover or remove, okay? Okay, Google, define remove.
Here's the definition of remove. Take something away or off from the position occupied.
And it has more. It says eliminate or get rid of, be distant from, separate. So it's kind of, so remover to remove. So, so to take away. And it kind of means the same thing there. So I'm just going to draw an arrow because they're right next to each other. Okay, but remove is only used there. All right, so ever fixed. All right, let's see what that is. And since it's connected to mark, I'm going to look up both of those. Okay, Google, what is an ever fixed mark?
According to Wikipedia, it is an ever-fixed mark that looks on tempests and is never shaken. It is the star to every wandering bark, whose worth's unknown, although his height be taken.
Well, that was incredibly unhelpful. All that Google did is just read me what the lines are. That is ridiculous. Okay, so Google's not helpful. My next step is step 4, says to ask a friend, ask a partner. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to ask you. Okay, do you know what it means? Just say no. Okay, you don't have a clue either? All right, cool. Now I'm going to raise my hand. Okay, teacher's going to come over, and teacher's going to come over and say, okay, what's your question? Say, I don't know what ever fixed mark is, and when I asked Google, it just read the sonnet to me. I don't even know what it means. I have no clue. There's no help. Okay, well, what the teacher's going to do, first thing is, me as the teacher, I'm going to look through and see that you've been doing this. You've got the circles and the marks and the question marks and the writing, and you've been doing this process. If you haven't done this process, I'm going to tell you first, go do the process. If you've done this process, then I'll say, okay, So ever fixed mark. So it's ever fixed. What's something mean when it's ever fixed? Okay, ever there. What's it mean forever? Well, it always stays. Okay, so ever fixed is it always is stuck there. It's fixed to the wall. Okay, so always there or never moves. And so an ever fixed mark, you know, if you got a mark on the wall that never goes away, you have to paint over it. That's what an ever fixed mark is. So it's always there. Okay, so it's an always there mark or never goes away blemish. Okay, all right, perfect. Thank you, Miss Neighbor. You're welcome. And the teacher leaves. Okay, so now I'm back to my next one. My next one is every wandering bark. Okay, so I'm going to do that one. Okay, Google, define ever wandering bark.
According to vocabulary.com, it is the star to every wandering bark, whose worth's unknown, although his height be taken.
That's ridiculous. But I will say on this one, it did give me, it said from vocabulary list, vocabulary.com, so I'm going to click on the website and see if maybe the website gives me something. Oh, I can practice different things, and hey, but it gives me some of these words that maybe I have already marked that might be able to help me out. Okay, so it does have wander. Okay, so wandering bark, so wander, it says to move or cause to move. Okay, so wandering means that it's moving. Well, that means, that makes sense. Like if I'm wandering around, I'm just moving. Okay, what the heck is a bark? So this is a moving dog? Is the star to every wandering dog? That makes no sense. Okay, so I'm going to ask my friend again. Nope, they don't know. Okay, I'm going to ask the teacher. Teacher comes over and says, okay, so you figured out wandering means moving. Okay, what moves around following the stars? What moves around following the stars? And usually is guided by the stars. I don't know. Well, it used to be in old times with the ships out on the sea. The only way they could go anywhere is if they knew where they were by position of the stars. So a bark is actually a ship. Oh, so it's a moving ship. Yep. Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, but I have to back up. I just realized as I was asking that question that I never did tempest. So I could ask Google again. This website I found is actually pretty good because it gives the word tempest to me. So I'm just going to use this website that I found. It says a violent commotion or disturbance or a storm. Oh, that looks on a storm. Okay. Or stormy weather. All right, so I'm going to put stormy weather on there. Okay, now I'm going to continue on. Height be taken. Well, like I said, I know what height is. That's how tall you are. So height is kind of how tall. And be taken, like if I take something, means that like you don't have it, I took it. But if I take your measurements, oh, so I'm just measuring how tall you are. Although his height be tall, or height be taken. So although his, I don't know, that doesn't make sense. Okay, I'm going to ask my friend. Okay, friend, do you know? Well, sure, of course. Height be taken is to just see if he measures up. Oh, because it's a height, it's a measure. Okay, so I'm going to cross off tall and say measure up. Okay, cool. Thank you. Didn't even have to ask my teacher to come over on that. All right, then we have bending sickle compass come. All right, so we're going to ask Google again. We're going to figure that out. Okay, Google. Define sickle.
Here's the definition of sickle. A short-handled farming tool with a semicircular blade used for cutting grain, lopping, or trimming.
All right, the definition wasn't very helpful, but there's an image here, and it looks like the thing that like death holds. Okay, that kind of crook that comes out, the little stick, and then it has the sickle coming off of it. That is the thing that death holds. So a sickle, I know what that is, bending his sickle, and then a compass. Well, a compass tells me what direction to go, north, south, east, west. So bending his sickle. So which way death is coming? All right, so death's direction. Keep in mind, this is the hardest one you're going to do. That's why I'm doing it. All right, so let's continue on. Altars we already looked up. Bears. Well, if this is not a dog, then bears is not going to be a bear. So let's ask Google again. Okay, Google, define bear.
Here's the definition of bear. Of a person carry.
Oh, to support or endure. Oh, but bears it out? I bet it's endure. Okay, endures it even though to the edge of doom. Well, that cool website that I had, that I found, it said that edge means the end. All right, so I'm going to say end, and then doom, like doom, doomed, the end of the world. Oh, like Armageddon. Okay, so the end of the world. Okay, and then writ. I don't know what writ is. Friend, do you know what writ means? No, I don't have a clue. Teacher, okay, teacher comes over. Oh, writ, this is a common thing that Shakespeare does. Shakespeare will, a lot of times, to make sure that it flows in the pattern that he wants, to make it sound right, he'll leave off letters. Writ is simply the word write. Don't overthink it. Oh, okay, perfect, thank you. All right, cool. Well, I have all the words found. Now I get to start translating. All right, so I have found all the words. I'm going to start putting this into real English and actually figure out what it's saying. Again, I'm not done with those steps. I might do steps 3, 4, and 5 again. I might have to ask or look up something in a dictionary if this still doesn't make sense. I might have to ask a friend what they think, and I might have to ask the teacher. But really, I'm just going to try and simplify this. So now I'm paraphrasing. I'm going to paraphrase Shakespeare. So it's not really a translation. It's more of a paraphrase to go ahead and figure out what's going on. So here we go. Now, again, I'm going to keep my sentences the same, going by punctuation. So my first sentence or in thought is, let me not to the marriage of true minds admit blocks or hindrances. Okay, I'm going to use the words that I have my translation in there. So let me not to the marriage of true minds admit it blocks. So let me not. So I don't want to, or I won't. Oh yeah, okay, we'll put that. I won't admit there, wrong kind of there. There are problems in marriage. And how's it end? With a period. Okay, so I'll put that period in there, making sure. Okay. Love is not love, which alters when alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. Now, I need to come all the way here, but that's a lot. So when I'm doing this, when I'm paraphrasing or translating, I'm actually going to go to the commas to just stop my thoughts. But I need to make sure that both parts make sense. So love is not love when which changes when the change finds. So love is not love when it changes, comma, or bends with the remover to remove, or is taken away, or can be taken away. Okay, so love is not love when it changes, or if it can be taken away. And it's a colon, so I'm going to add that as well. Okay, the next one is oh no. I'm guessing oh no means oh no. Exclamation point. All right, it is an ever-fixed mark that looks upon a tempest is never shaken. So we said it is always there, because that's what my thing is. So it is always there, even in stormy weather. And it is a semicolon. Okay. I'm just going to keep going. I'm not going to make each line separate. I'm just going to keep going. All right, it is the star to every moving ship whose worth's unknown, so whose value's not known, although they've been measured, or it's been measured up. It is the star, so it's in a storm, so we're out on the water. So if it's the star to every wandering ship, oh yeah, Miss Neighbor said that that's how ships were guided. So love is the guide to those who wander. Okay. Even though they measure up. Not really sure if I understand that, but I'm just going to kind of go with it and see what happens. Okay. Love's not time's fool, though rosy lips and cheeks with its bending sickle's compass come. So we have a comma here. So love's not time's fool. Well, time is capitalized, so it must be the name of somebody. So love's not time's fool. So love is not an idiot because time's fool, or no, I don't know, because time. Oh, time's fool, like Father Time. It's not time's idiot, meaning it doesn't deal with time. So time doesn't matter to love, comma. Though rosy lips and cheeks with his bending sickle compass come, so death. Oh, though rosy lips and cheeks when death's direction. So love, time doesn't matter to love, even if your rosy cheeks, death takes your rosy cheeks. There you go. Time doesn't matter to love, even if death takes, actually I'm going to change it to the color, takes the color from your face. And it is a colon. Okay. Let's see here. Love alters or changes. Love changes not. So love doesn't change with its brief hours and weeks. So love doesn't change in short time. Change over a short period of time, comma, but bears it out even to the edge of doom. So we'd said, but endures it out even to the end of the world. But endures to the end of the world. And that is a period. Okay, if this be error and upon me proved, I never writ, nor no man ever loved. Okay, so again, back to the commas. If this be error and upon me proved. So if I'm wrong, because error is a mistake. If I am wrong, and it is proven, comma, I never writ, nor no man ever loved. I'm not a writer. And no one has ever loved. Period. Okay. So now I'm going to read this over and I'm going to see if this new one makes more sense than the first one. Because the first one, I don't really even know what was going on. But I'm going to read this next one as well and see if that makes more sense. I won't admit that there are problems in marriage. Love is not love when it changes or if it can be taken away. Oh no, it's always there, even in stormy weather. Love is the guide to those who wander, even though they measure up. Time doesn't matter to love, even if death takes the color from your face. Love doesn't change over a short period of time, but endures to the end of the world. If I am wrong and it's proven, I'm not a writer, and no one has ever loved. Well, that makes so much more sense. This, I could definitely put what this is about. So down at the bottom of this, I'm going to put what this is about. Okay? All sonnets are about love. But what kind of love? Well, this is the kind of love that lasts forever, kind of almost like I'm giving a theme for this poem. So this is that love doesn't change and it lasts forever. Okay, so I'm just going to write a quick idea down at the bottom so that I know. And now I've got my translated poem. All right, so here's what it is one more time so that you can see it. Make sure that you have it copied down. If you don't have it exactly word for word, that's okay, but do make sure that you have the translation written down in your booklet or your packet as well. Okay, and make sure on every single one that you always give what the poem is about. Yes, they're always about love. That's what a sonnet is about. But make sure that you have this written down. Okay, if you need to, you can pause the video as well to make sure that you have it copied. The other part you need to make sure that you have is this section as well, that you have all of those marks on there so that you can see what it is that you were supposed to have translated and the marks and things you were supposed to do so you know what it's supposed to look like. So if yours looks like mine, then you've done it correctly. We're going to practice this again with a couple more before you have to do it on your own.